Hi, I'm Zinnia, and I finished my book yesterday. Well, oh, I finished the first draft of my second manuscript yesterday. This blog is meant to give you kind of a peek into what it took for me to push through the last part of the book, the third act, and wind down all the way to the final page. So it was not easy. It took a few weeks. I had a couple of really big writing days. And yeah, I kind of vlogged along the way, and this video is going to be really long. I'm going to try and cut it down though. So a little bit about the project before I jumped back to Past Me. Um, the book that's done, the draft that's finished is for Project Nest. It's a Southern Gothic dystopian set in 2061 that speculates on what America might look like if the Heritage Foundation successfully implemented all of the elements of Project 2025. If you don't know what Project 2025 is, it's scary. So this book is also just an examination of trust and deception, also maternal rage, which is really fun for me. And yeah, I wrote another book, and I'm excited to share that little journey with you. So yeah, past me, take it away. Hey, so we're here again, still on the farm in Kansas. It's July 10th, and I still haven't gotten to the end of my manuscript, and I keep talking about it. I've been talking about this for it feels like months, and I'm just not getting there. So something has to change. And this isn't about like toxic productivity, or maybe it's a little bit toxic, but I just want to finish the manuscript because I want to know that I really, really know what's going to happen at the end, because I keep telling myself I have a plan and I'm somehow just not churning it out. Although, in my defense, I there was the 4th of July and the 5th of July. And then I had a serious ear infection. My jaw was swollen out to here. I didn't even know that that was like possible. So I've been dealing with that, taking a lot of medication and painkillers for that because it was really bad. But I'm over that now. And my parents had to go out of town to give some support to an old friend. So I can't really judge them too harshly for leaving me here, but they had the audacity to leave me here with my own children and no one to help me. So it's just me and my two girls and Bluey. So yeah, we've been in kind of survival mode, and I haven't been doing all that much writing. There was also an incident with a gigantic spider that we will not speak of, but I had to call my brother, and he had to come over and dispatch the spider because I was just melting down. So yeah, I'm maybe not in the best place to be vlogging, and I'm probably not even in the best place to be pushing myself to finish this manuscript. But the reality is, I desperately want to get this done because I have other projects that I want to write. I have other things that I really want to do. And like I said, I just want to see it through to the end. And like, I want to know that what I have in my mind can actually hit the page with the impact that I expect it to have. So basically, what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to sit down, have my notebook, and I've titled this page Roadmap to the Finish, which not really a great title for a game plan. But anyway, I'm going to sit down right now and try to like come up with some kind of idea of how I can get this done in a way that's just more feasible and actionable and less like loosey goosey. So, yeah, okay. I'm going to put down the mic. I'm going to write down some action points, and then I will read it back to you, and hopefully I'll have something coherent. Okay, let's see. Okay, that didn't take very long, but I feel like for me, I think for everyone, not just for me, Making the plan is so much easier than actually executing the plan. But I do have a few ideas that I think will help me to kind of nudge myself out of this space where I'm just like writing a little bit and then slacking off and then pushing back and writing a little bit and not really making like the progress in the plot. Like I'm getting kind of bogged down in some details and like some interiority, which don't get me wrong, interiority is super, super critical to this kind of book, especially. But for what I'm trying to do in a first draft situation, I really need to be just like having my eye on the finish, on the goal, and really just finish the damn thing. So, yeah, I'm getting upset with myself and I need to calm down. So, I've got 5 points on my little roadmap here. I'm hoping that at least one of these will do some unlocking for me. So, number 1, I'm going to reread my synopsis because I actually kind of forgot that I had a synopsis. I have a little like brain dump document that I have been adding like little bits and pieces to. And it's mostly stuff that I want to add in when I get to draft 2. But there is a synopsis that I wrote like before I even finished my first manuscript when I came up with the basic idea for this book. So I'm going to go in and reread the synopsis and see if I have been kind of on track and keeping in line with that, or if maybe there's something in there that can help me. And then number 2, something that most people do before they start writing a book, I'm going to try and plot and maybe plan the end of this book, the rest of Act 3. What a crazy novel concept to come up with an idea before you write. But, I couldn't do things the easy way, could I? And number 3, write backwards. And I know that this is something a lot of people do where they write kind of non chronologically and kind of they write some of the big parts and then they go back and embroider things and stitch things in and fill in. And I think that that would actually be really helpful for me at this point to I need to see if the climax is really going to land how I want it to. So I think what I should try to do is sit down and write the climax, then maybe write some of the falling action, and then backtrack and see exactly how many scenes and how much I need to do to fill in between where I am now in the rising action and actually hitting that moment of this big active climax in Act 3. So yeah, um that's what I'm going to try to do tonight, I think, if I can, if I have the energy. I did cook dinner and clean the kitchen and put everything away already. So all I have to do is survive bedtime. And then I have a couple of hours of sheer terror of being alone in this farmhouse with just my kids. They even took the dog to doggy daycare. So we have literally no one. um my brother-in-law is over at my sister's place and like I can see their farm out this window in front of me, so like at least there's that. But how humiliating if I would have to call him because I'm scared. I'm nearly 40 years old and I'm like terrified in this house. But it's okay. So yeah, I'll have a couple hours tonight where I'm just really spooking myself, and then I should be able to write something. And really, my goal, point 4 on this list, is that I'm going to shoot for 1,000 words a day, which isn't a whole lot. And I think that it's totally reasonable to try and do that. So, yeah. And point 5 is something that I do for my own kids, which is a reward system. So, I need to figure out what I can reward myself with and try not to make it food. I have an issue with overindulgence, I could say, and I just love treats and desserts and things like that. So I need to find a different kind of reward that I can offer myself. And yeah, hopefully that will push me through. But I will keep checking in over the next several days, however long it takes for me to actually conquer this. But I do intend for this vlog to be the one where I get to finally say that I finished the first draft of my second manuscript. Stick with me. I'm bound and determined to do it, and I have accountability to you that I actually have to pull this off now. Unless I just trash this footage, which is totally possible also. We'll see what happens. Okay, it's still July 10th. There's just no good lighting in this room, but I want to sit in my dad's recliner and just try and kind of decompress a little bit. And I'm going to look back over that synopsis that I mentioned. So I'm just going to take a minute briefly here and look over the synopsis, and then I'll give kind of my reaction to that, having written most of the book without looking at it, and we'll see where that leaves me. Okay. I've read to the point that kind of lines up with Act 1, Act 2, and kind of the beginning part of Act 3. And for the most part, there, I kind of followed the synopsis, or you could tell there's a relationship between the synopsis and the book that I've written. But then it takes a really weird turn, and I do not remember even writing this. Hold on, I'm going to read through this part. Yeah, things are getting real weird real fast. Okay, so yeah, this was eye opening to see how far I actually strayed from my original plan. I wrote this book completely planning for it to be a duology. And I remember there being a second book, but don't, I didn't remember kind of the way the two are bridged together. And I feel like the way I wrote the synopses, because it's more than one synopsis, the way I wrote these things, there's no clear delineation between the end of the first book and the beginning of the second. Like, it would be completely unsatisfying if I wrote it the way that it's laid out, which is kind of disappointing. What was I thinking? I probably was thinking, I'll deal with this later. That's what I was thinking. So basically, I think the direction that I'm writing now, with no plan in place, and that's completely diverged from this synopsis, so much better. So I'm writing toward like a conclusion to this book, where there's like a final action, and then kind of like a denouement, falling action leading into somewhat of a resolution, but it's a little bit open ended, I think. And it leaves the way I'm writing it now would theoretically leave the door open to a companion novel that wouldn't necessarily need to be like a sequel. It's not like a two-parter, I wouldn't say. So yeah, that's kind of not that helpful. It kind of leaves me feeling like I do have a strong handle on what's going to happen next, and the my planning, or my informal mental planning of the book, has evolved a lot from the beginning. So that's always good. I guess there's step 1 complete, like read the synopsis and be totally confused by my past self. There we go. And then um next, what did I say I was going to do next? Hold on. Okay. Man, this is bad lighting and a bad angle. Oof. Okay, next, step 2. I wrote this like a couple hours ago and I already can't remember what step 2 was. I'm really frazzled. I need to take a break. I am going to take a break tonight. Step 2, as I've written down in my roadmap plan, is to try to plot and plan. So, yeah, I'm going to kind of push this old synopsis a little bit to the side and come up with kind of some beats and like some really fixed points that I can lay out to see the order of things that are going to happen, and about how much space of the book I want to allot to each of these different little pieces that need to happen. And yeah, try and space it out a little bit and see. I think last time I said that I thought I could do this in 5,000 words. I'm totally delusional if I think that still. I'm pretty sure that's not reasonable. But we'll see. We'll see what I come up with. But anyway, yeah, I've blathered on and babbled enough. Good night. See you tomorrow if everything works out to plan, which it never does. Hi. It's Friday, just about 2 p.m. And if it looks like I'm recovering from something, I kind of am, I guess. Um, it has not been an eventful day, but I've just been out of sorts, I guess. I had to drive to the store to buy groceries, which just seems like a really normal thing to do, but I'm used to doing this by like 50cc scooter. And today I had to do it in a Chevy 2500. It's a loaner from the farm, and it's like the only vehicle I have available to me right now. And that thing is like a tank. It's kind of terrifying to drive. On the one hand, it's really fun, but on the other hand, it's like, why'd you put me in charge of this giant machine? And this morning I got up and I plotted out basically some action beats, and I've got 8 new chapters laid out that should be the roadmap to finally finish this manuscript draft. And it's a lot more than I was thinking was going to be in this first draft, but yeah. And I write kind of, I would say like semi-beefy chapters. I don't know how long a chapter is really supposed to be, but in this book, I think the average chapter is like 2,500 words. So, yeah, if I have 8 chapters and it's like, let's say they're even a little bit shorter, I'm still looking at, adding 16,000 words to the draft. Which is, I'll still be within a reasonable word count. I'll still be well under 90K. So it's doable. It's just that, yeah, I don't know. I didn't plan anything. So how could I know what to expect? I did this to myself. That's okay. But it actually is looking really kind of fleshed out, and I'm pretty excited to write here. Where I left off in my writing, I was in chapter 32. And I'm going to go ahead and skip to chapter 37. I'm going to write chapter 37 and 38 next, and then kind of see if I feel like I want to go, linearly toward the start of the book or linearly toward the end of the book, and see if I want to do rising action or falling action next. But I feel like really if I can hit this high point, this climax, then I will be able to knit the other 2 sides together and kind of bridge it beginning and end here. So yeah, I'm feeling good about where I am, and I guess I just need to do it. So yeah, I'm gonna go and do that. I'll check in later and let you know if I actually made some progress or not, but yeah, let's try nonlinear writing for the first time and just kind of see how that goes. Okay. Hi. It is Thursday, July 17th, and I haven't checked in for a while, but I have been writing. And this is going to be a quick little update, I hope, because the battery on everything is currently dying, and that's the theme for today, I think. Everything's just barely hanging on today. But so I have been following along with my plan to kind of write out of order, write non-linearly, and it's really working pretty well. I finished the chapter that was kind of like the peak of the main climax conflict, whatever way we're going to describe that, the highest point of tension in the book. I wrote it. It feels really good. Of course, I mean, it needs editing, but the draft feels pretty solid. Now I'm writing kind of the falling action from that. And I think next, before I get to this other little, at the end of the book, there's another little peak. Before I get to that, I'm going to go back and write the part where I'm linking up the body of the book with this high point of tension and conflict that I just wrote. So that's kind of where I'm going, and then that way at the end I'll have something really exciting to write and kind of finish strong. And yeah, I know where the book's going. I'm feeling pretty good about that. So let's see. Today's Thursday. Let me look on Trackbear and see my word counts, although it doesn't matter that much, but it is nice that it's something that I do kind of lean on to feel like I'm moving forward. I am putting words into the book. Um, let's see. I think the last time I checked in was July 11th, maybe, and I wrote 1,202 words. And then on Monday, I wrote 1,351 words. Tuesday, I wrote 1,050 words. And yesterday, I wrote 750 words. And it's 10:30 in the morning here on Thursday, and I am going to have some writing time right now. My girls are kind of entertained with their grandma right now, and they're going to play with the dog. And it's a little bit of a cloudy day. So kind of good writing weather. So I'm going to sit down here in the kitchen and try and knock out the rest of this falling action. And then I'm going to, if I have time, I'm going to jump back to where I left off writing in the main body of the story and start kind of linking that stuff all together. Hi, it's Monday morning, July 21st. I say morning, really, it's like 11 a.m. Um, I woke up this morning and I just missed the live writing sprints with Alyssa in the books, and it would have been really nice to get in on that, but instead, I did my own little writing sprint solo. It's rainy today, and it's a really good morning for writing. And yeah, the girls are playing some kind of make believe in the other room, so that's good. We love some independent play over here. So yeah, I wrote about almost 700 words, 690 words. The weekend got away from me, as it always does, but I did write on Friday. I don't remember. I think I wrote about 800 words or something. And that brings the total for my draft right now to 77,708 words. So I am making some really solid progress. I'm currently writing chapter 40, which is still falling action. I I kind of question if I'm not overwriting this part of the book a little bit and including some like
maybe too much of this like navel gazing, too much of this just thinking and overthinking, and some superfluous details that kind of fit more into a world building category. But I don't know. I can always pare it back later, I guess. But what I want to do today, this afternoon, I think I'm definitely gonna cook some lunch. I'm not going out in the rain. And then maybe my sister will come over for a little while, but later today I hope to kind of travel backwards linearly through the book and go back to the end of chapter 32 and pick up there and write some of that intervening plot and some of those beats that lead up to this main conflict. I was planning to do that on Friday, and I just got really absorbed in the falling action. I just kept going and going and going. And yeah, if I don't watch out, this draft is going to be in the 90K region, which is, I think, not great for the genre. So that's something for me to look out for. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to check in and share a little bit about where I'm at with the draft. I'm not sure if the prose is really so solid right now. I'm a little bit more focused on just getting it down. Although, yeah, I wish I was writing some more beautiful lines here. I don't know, maybe it's fine. Anyway, I heard from my critique partner yesterday, just like a brief little exchange, but that was kind of like good motivation for me to get up and write this morning and really try and get that book to her, because I just really cherish her reactions and I would like to have a completed book to talk with her about when I get back to Vietnam on August 5th. So, anyway, yeah, I'm going to get on with the rest of my day and hopefully do some more writing this afternoon, get into chapter 32, maybe finish chapter 33 if I'm really lucky. Oh, I'm being called. I got to go. Hello, everybody. Do you want to hear about my manuscript? I'm kidding. That's the way my 5-year-old daughter starts her pretend YouTube videos that she films on her tablet that will likely never be uploaded. Anyway, but seriously, it's the middle of the night, as it always is. It's let me see. I'm reading in like military time. It's 23:58, so it's 11:58 on Wednesday, July 23rd. And I'm still working on this Southern Gothic dystopian manuscript, deep in Act 3 still. And I've been doing nonlinear writing for the past few days, or I guess the past week and a half now. And it's going really great. I have to say, it is a tactic that's really working for me. I don't think it would work if I started writing a novel and was like, "Oh, I'm going to start with the ending." I'm not sure that that would work, but at the point where I was stagnating. I was in chapter 32 and it was just not I wasn't sure how to push through to the action of act 3, of these final scenes, these final chapters. So I wrote kind of the high point of the action. I know I talked about this a lot already. But then Monday I sat down and I got to writing, kind of finished off chapter 38, 39. One of the falling action chapter. I finished it off and I started the next chapter so that I'll have like a springboard to come back to when I finally reach that part again. And then I've come back to chapter 32, which is rising action. And I realized that the scene I was working on wasn't working because it had so much just exposition. And it was, there was no real action. It was just kind of like explaining stuff, talking about stuff. Kind of, it was too reflective and reactive and not active at all. So I scrapped that scene. I deleted some words and I kind of, um, yeah, I started over with that scene and I rewrote the whole thing and I wrote a ton of words. Let me look at my track bear. Monday the 21st, I wrote 829 words. So wait, that wasn't the day that. Okay, I know what happened. Monday the 21st, I finished off chapter 38. And then I went back and had a look at chapter 32. And I said, this is really like reactive and too expository, too much explaining, too much talking to yourself, and not enough action, not doing anything. So the next day, Tuesday, yesterday, I'm so tired. Tuesday, July 22nd, I deleted that scene and I started writing anew, afresh, and I wrote 2,303 words. So that brought me up over the 80,000 word mark, even with the deletion, which is great. And so I had a lot of momentum today, still on Wednesday, and I haven't finished writing for the day, but I've written like, I think 1,100 words. I don't feel like looking. So yeah, I've written about 1,100 words today, and I'm feeling a lot of momentum. And I actually think a couple of the things I planned as like these two beats that I planned as two separate chapters, I think can be fused into one chapter. So I finished chapter 32 and I wrote, I'd say like half of chapter 33 today. And then, hmm, I feel like chapter 35 and 36 are going to be kind of fused together. And then I've already written chapter 37. So really, I just have a little bit more to crank out here, and I'm going to be really close to the end, and I'm so excited. That's where I am. I'm just rambling now, but yeah, I'm still I mean, I just looked at the clock and now it's, after midnight on July 24th, but it's still July 23rd in my heart. So, I feel like I still have enough time to finish the draft in July. If I don't, it won't be the end of the world, but I would really like to do that. I'll be in touch. Hey, it's almost midnight, July 27th, and I'm closing in on 88,000 words. And today was a huge day for me. I wrote 3,400 words exactly, which means I wrote all of chapter 35 and I started chapter 36. Um, I think the distribution of the chapters still might change, but here's like kind of the brief update of what I have left to do in the next like 4 days. So I need to finish chapter 36 and then write chapters 42 and 43. And then I'm done with the first draft, of course. So I think it's doable, especially because I had such an amazing day today. Despite the fact that my daughters had their like shared birthday party that we always do kind of in between their actual birthdays while we're here for the summer. So we had a birthday party today and I managed to still like crank out an entire chapter. And it was not really an easy one to write. It was one that I wasn't looking forward to as much. But yeah, that's about it. I'm making steady progress and I'm on track to just barely scrape by with finishing by the end of July, which will be good for my self esteem and it will also just be good for my process in general. And yeah, okay, bye. Okay, it is July 30th and it's only 10 p.m., so really not that late for me. But I realized that I haven't filmed a writing update in a few days, and I've been getting a lot of words done and really just blowing through chapters also. So, oh yeah, and I apologize for this situation. You're propped up in a pedestal fruit dish, and I can't get my mic out. I put my computer away to take it upstairs. But yeah, in terms of like word count update, I need to do the math, but I feel like I've written like 10,000 words in the last week or something, which that might be true. I think I'm really scatterbrained right now. But I think I'm maybe around 94K, and I'm in chapter 41, and the book will end. Chapter 42 is the last chapter of the book. So tomorrow's the last day of July, and like in theory, I could finish. But yeah, I'm really kind of shocked at myself at how much I've been writing. But I feel like creating that little like plan of how to approach it, and like going back and this nonlinear writing and creating that little last minute third act outline did so much for me in terms of giving me a boost and helping me to kind of clearly see the vision for the end of the book, because I'm there. And it's not perfect, certainly, and it's much longer than I wanted to be writing in this first draft. Some parts are clearly overwritten, and some things maybe need to be condensed or cut altogether, but these are second draft problems. As of right now, I'm just like pretty thrilled to be like right towards the end here. So yeah, I mean, realistically, I can finish the book in 3,000 words. I'm pretty sure I can do it. So I'm going to be south of 100K. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine, right? It's fine. What's important, though, is that the words that I'm writing are filling out my vision of the plot for the end of the book. Even if the prose isn't there, even if I've got too many words, all of that can be solved later. Even if the plot's not great, that can be solved later. But really, I'm just like, the vision is happening, and yeah, this is why we write. Like, this is what, at least this is why I write. For that feeling of like putting it on the page, and like, I enjoy writing, but I also enjoy having written. And getting toward the end of the book, that's where you get kind of the confluence of those two things. Because you look back and you're like, oh my God, how did I write all of these words? And also like the part that you're currently writing, like I feel like right at the end of the book is like, you feel it coming together. But yeah, tomorrow might be the big day, or maybe the next day. Anyway, this week, the book will be done by the weekend. So yeah, that's my update. Hi, it is July 31st, and let's just disregard whatever I said last night, because that was just the ramblings of a sleep-deprived mind. I think I said that I was in chapter 41 and that chapter 42 would be the final chapter. This is false. The penultimate chapter is chapter 42, which is what I'm writing now. So I need to write through to the end of chapter 42 and write chapter 43, and then I'll be done with the book. Or at least done with the first draft. And I feel like I've built this up so much in my mind that it's going to be kind of anticlimactic, but I think it'll still have an emotional payoff for me, because I'm coming up toward the end of this trip home, and finishing this book is going to be kind of cathartic. And when I get back home to Vietnam, I'll be starting over on a brand new project and kind of starting over in a lot of ways. And that's going to be really a thrilling thing, and something that I'm looking forward to taking you along on the ride to see. Let's write a little bit. I already wrote about probably 300, 400 words so far today, but let's write a little bit. And by that, I mean, let's write a lot, and let's finish this first draft. feels kind of like incorrect, weird that it's not the middle of the night, but it's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon on July 31st, and I'm like almost at the end here. Like, we're talking, the girls are here watching TV. I'm giving them more screen time than they usually get, but I just want to finish this book today, so these are the sacrifices we make. But yeah, I'm talking about like pages now rather than chapters. Like, I'm in chapter 43. The words are just flowing. Like, I know what I'm going to write. I know where it's going. The book is almost done. It's happening. Yeah. Okay. Let's do it then. Let's just get to it. Let's just do it.